If you want to get from, I have this validated idea to, I have a course map that I can build from, then go grab something to take notes. I'm Dr. Katrina Mitchum, and I've been designing and redesigning courses online since 2009. So I've got a guide linked in the description to help you walk through all of these things if you want a little bit of handholding and guidance and more videos and all that good fun stuff. But here are the 8 steps that you would take to get from idea to course map. The first is getting an idea of the core problem. And this is about getting from something that's broad, like public speaking, to something specific that lies at the core of the problem that your course is going to solve. My favorite activity for this is the 5 whys. And so why do they want to improve their public speaking? The answer might be because they want to speak on worldwide stages. Okay. Our second why then is, why do they want to speak on stages? To promote their book. Our third why is, why do they want to promote their book, right? And you work through the why question 5 times, always taking your response to that why and inserting it into the next why question. Knowing the core problem that you're solving is going to help you with the very next step. And the very next step is the basis for the entire rest of your course. So you're going to use that core problem that you're solving to set concrete goals, right? So we're not just understanding ourselves better, right? That's not a goal. There's nothing tangible, there's nothing concrete, there's nothing relatable there. Why are we trying to understand ourselves better? We're going to set SMART goals. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and that last letter, that T, typically stands for time bound, so getting it done in a certain amount of time. I like to use time flex here instead because time is squishier than we like to think, right? Everybody experiences time differently. Time is cultural, time is personal. Time is in short supply if you are teaching caregivers, right? It's something that we're always saying we're short on. Your course is going to be no different. And so that T is lowercase in all of my work because it should be more about time flex instead of being time bound. So create as many goals as you need to get to that core problem by making them specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant. Okay, our third step is actually another validating step, and this is going to be validating the goals. So use the core problem and the goals to write some questions to ask your people, right? In order to do that, you could just say which goals are more interesting to you. Chances are pretty good you're going to need to translate those goals into something that they'll understand. Then you use their feedback to adjust your goals. You use their feedback language to add into your goals, right? Because you want them to understand. You want the people that are taking your course to understand what the goals of the course are. As the expert, it can be easy to fall into using jargon. Use the language of your audience for this. Now, remember that you're the expert. So if everyone's like, I don't want that to be a goal, you might have to give them the broccoli before you can let them have the cupcake, right? The cupcake is going to be the goals that they're interested in. Don't take out the broccoli goal. But what it does tell you is what to not focus on in your marketing, right? If the broccoli goal is something people aren't interested in, you know you're going to need to put it in the course because it's foundational, but you don't have to talk about it in your marketing. It's a bonus for them because that broccoli is going to lead them to the cupcake. Okay, your fourth step is actually steps. And that is actually the first step in backwards design. How many times have I said step in the last 30 seconds? So what are the steps that they take moving backwards from the goal? So if this is the goal, what is the step right before they've reached that goal? What is the step that they take right before they know I've reached this goal, right? So you start there and then you ask, well, and what's the step before that? And you keep going, asking, and what's the step before that until you get to that first step? The fifth step in this process is tasks. It's the second piece of backwards design. And the tasks are kind of doing the same thing you did with the steps, but within the steps. So in the steps, what are the tasks that I need to do in order to consider that step to be complete. So this is about what are they doing to take the step. The sixth piece in this process is activities, right? And so this is another step in the backwards design process. And this is us moving from what do I need to do to take that step to what are my actions? What actions am I having them take to get from this task to the next task, which build on each other to get to the steps, which get to the goal, right? And so by the time you're done with those things, the steps, the tasks, the activities, you'll see the backwards evolution of what's starting to take shape in terms of a course. You will need to flip it around, right? So step one is first, but this is a really important piece to making sure that you have action-based activities as the foundation of your course instead of all of the content that you want to give them because you're so excited about this topic. So the next step, step 7, is going to be taking those things and making them a sketchy outline. I call it sketchy because this is the first time you're doing it. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be perfect, but you have to take this step. What this step is doing is helping you look for redundancies. It's helping you streamline the learning journey. And it's helping you put repetition where you need it, right? Sometimes if you have reflection as an activity, you're going to need it in every lesson. And sometimes you don't. And so this is kind of taking those things that look like they're separate and starting to pull them together into an actual streamlined story instead of all of these separate tasks that kind of feel disjointed. So there are a few different ways that you can do that. And this is probably one of the most useful steps in the guide that's linked in the description. But really, it's about finding patterns, right? You are looking for patterns. You are looking for places where you ask them to do this a few times, but really they could just do it once really effectively in this one spot and toss out the rest. Or you ask them to do this once, but really it's going to be useful in several places. Or this is how these things are sequenced, but this piece would fit in here too and would make it so that it's a more complete experience, so that they're building toward more than one goal at the same time. The 8th step is actually the course map. This is where you're taking the actions that you have them doing, you determine what your supporting content is going to be, and you articulate why, right? Why they're doing each action, why you're having them consume each piece of content, and putting them into something that's usable for you, right? The course map creates this umbrella where you can see all the bits and pieces of your course. You can see all the things you're having them do, how they're getting them to those goals, the content that you're using to support them, and then the explanation of how these things work with and on top of each other to get them to that big outcome, the thing that they came to you for. And this is a thing that you can use. You can use the course map to start your waitlist. You can use the course map to do more validation. You can use the course map to actually build out the course without having to do a whole bunch of time and energy building a thing that nobody's going to buy, right? So those are the 8 steps. Now that you've got a plan for what you're doing, you've got the foundational pieces, you know the core of your course, I can finally answer that platform question. And that is what I'm going to do in the next video. If it's not there, it will be there next week.